Hello, hi, my name is Jess. Welcome to yesterday's Coffee Grounds, where it has been a moment since I filmed. We have been in the middle of a move, so it's kind of difficult to balance a lot of things with that. Anybody who's moved before, which I can't imagine somebody living their life without moving houses and knowing what it's like transferring things, getting things organized. If the house is clean or not. Our house was not clean moving in, so it's been like a lot of deep cleaning, and that's just the way that it goes. And with a toddler, it's been a lot. So I definitely want to get back into filming. I love just coming and holding myself accountable, being able to tell stories, being able to problem solve through my life and give analogies or give things that I've learned, and that's so important in life, is to storytell. And definitely doing this consistently. I need consistency in my life. One thing that I feel really proud of that I've been doing through the move is I've been exercising a lot more, and that's something way back in the day. I used to exercise all the time. I went to school for it's a diploma in human kinetics, which is kind of like a diploma in kinesiology. A long story, but it's basically all about health and wellness of the body, and I am so passionate on the body and how the body functions and how it moves, and getting back into that has reignited that after a couple of years of kind of going through mental well-being and spiritual well-being, but not having this triangle approach to health, a holistic view of health. And I think that's common for people to go through, where it's really difficult to have all three, the Trinity, the Holy Trinity, but not the Holy Trinity, I don't, you know the word I'm trying to say, the three of them, one, two, three. Fun fact, I actually really wanted a girl, in the sense that my mom is a water sign, I'm a water sign, and no matter when baby was born, baby was going to be a water sign. And if it was a girl, I thought that would be so powerful to have 3 different water signs. There's only 3 water signs, but all 3 of them in the family, 1, 2, 3 generations. I thought that would be so cool. Anyways, a holistic approach of health, and it is so difficult to get around it, even just to process it. And what does that look like? What does that look like on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis? Because it's different for everyone. Like, not everybody is interested in lifting weights or going for runs, but to have some varieties of those, like, you gotta strength train, especially now. If you're young and you're watching this, 25, that's how old I am. Anywhere under 30, like, it's so important to strength train, because it is going to help you functionally when you're in your 30s, 40s, and 50s. You want to build that bone density. You want to build that range of motion too. Like, even if you don't strength train, but if you have a wide range of motion and there's not that narcling feeling in your body, that is so important, and it'll help you when you're older. I hear people in their late 30s and they're like, oh, I'm getting old. And it's like, no, you're so young. You have so much life to live, even though we don't know how long we're going to live. We don't know when our last day is going to be. But on average, people live till they're, 78, 80 years old. So if you're 38 and you're feeling that way, honey, you still got, quick math, 22 years. Is that right? 42 years. You still got 42 years. And how do you want to be living your life? Do you want to be living it in chronic pain? Do you want to be living it with one of these diseases that can be resolved through exercise, and not to exclude spiritual and mental well-being, because that's also a huge part of it. Right now I'm actually really blessed. I've always said this, where it's wild how in school we teach about physical education, but we don't really teach physical education in school. We just teach, like, how do you play badminton, how do you play basketball. We don't actually teach why is it important to exercise, why is it important to move your body, to practice cardiovascular exercises like running or jogging or biking, whatever it may be. Running and jogging is basically the same thing. Swimming, something to get the heart rate going, so that the heart stays strong, because it constantly beats. And when you elevate your heart rate to a higher place, it gets stronger and it gets more efficient at pumping blood. So your resting heart rate is lower, so it doesn't have to work as hard or pump as hard to get that blood flowing. Whereas somebody who is naturally stressed out all the time and they're constantly in fight or flight, their heart is constantly pumping, that's where heart attacks come in, or cardiovascular disease, stuff like that. That can be resolved through exercise. It doesn't take much in a week. 3 times 30 minutes a week. Like, it's not that long. It's not that much, to tell you the truth. I think it's, it's 150 minutes of cardiovascular exercise a week, which you can do that with a friend. You can do that with someone you love. You can, if you have an animal, going to do that just to lower that risk, right? To keep your heart strong, right? And so we don't really teach physical education in school, but we do, I guess, kind of. Sure. And then we teach academic smarts, but we don't really teach emotional smarts. And I think that's something that is coming up a lot more with the rise of the mental health crisis that's coming on in the world. And a lot of people are vocal about it. A lot of celebrities are vocal about it, and I really appreciate that. Some things, like, I don't know, some of the approaches, you gotta troubleshoot. You gotta try multiple things, throw a bunch of things at a wall, see what sticks, what works for people and what doesn't. We're trying. We're definitely trying, and we're getting a little bit better, but I don't know if it's enough or the right means to help people. But it's definitely something that we as a society have a responsibility to take care of ourselves and then one another. And it is so difficult to have this 3-part, and the spiritual part is really the most difficult, because a lot of times you need a teacher, you need a guide, you need someone you trust, you need somebody who is also well educated in whatever spiritual religious aspect that it is. But it is really important to have some kind of relationship or understanding of creation. Not a big bang. I don't think a big bang would have happened. You can't have order out of chaos. So this beautiful thing we live on earth, like this leaf, the symmetry in this leaf is just amazing. How everything is mathematical, right? You think, look into it a little bit. I'm not the best at explaining math of all things, but how all the planets orbit and Fibonacci sequence, that is all, it's all mathematical, right? I'm not good at explaining it, but to me, creation is, I can't believe that we evolved from a fish. That doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't work for my brain, and I don't find purpose in that. I don't find meaning in that at all. I am in belief that there is a creator, and that's where I get purpose in my life. And I did spend quite a few years on looking into that and understanding that a little bit more. And I'm still young. I still have so much learning to do, and there's so much knowledge out there. There's so much information out there to learn. So it's this weird balance and remaining teachable. That's one thing I am struggling with in my life, and I need to be open to. I need to be more softer about, is being remaining teachable. And I think that's something Peter Mann says. But being mindful that we need to be open. Obviously, I don't come across as I know everything, but sometimes when people say stuff, it's like, yeah, I know. And it's like, no, that's not how you go about it. It's like, oh, explain that a little bit more. Ask questions, or ask for further explanation, or why do you think that way? Or, trying to get conversation. And that's where I say at the beginning, storytelling is so important, where I love just having this conversation, because I learned stuff about myself, and I think it is so important to storytell and to have that opportunity to share our ideas, share our opinions, and we can have differing opinions and it be okay. And I experienced this for the first time in a long time, where I had a differing opinion with somebody. We're good, not good friends, but we're good coworkers, and we were just having a conversation. It kind of dragged on a little bit too long, and I say that because it was on working hours, not because the conversation was bad. but we were in the middle of a conversation and something came up and we were in disagreement, and it's like, okay, we have different opinions, and we moved on like nothing. And I felt very, for myself, because you'd never tell by looking at her, but she's 38 and I'm 25, and just to have that ability to move on from the subject matter was amazing, because I don't get that often. Sometimes it's really hard to just like move on from the topic, and I really appreciated that. It's one thing, like, you know what, it wasn't something that like, I don't have to argue with you that the best color is blue, right? It doesn't make sense. Like, I don't have to argue about something like that, even if it's my belief. Some things are worth fighting for, and there's a lot of things worth fighting for, but time and place, right? Knowing your shit. When people are drinking, definitely not the right time to be getting into that conversation. When people are heated or attacking, there are some things where it's like, it doesn't matter. It's like, this is what I believe and this is how I feel. You can come at me with whatever you want. This is what I believe is right. And not just my opinion, but this is what I believe is truth. And I think that is valuable. I think that's super valuable in the world. Right now I spent a lot of time, I think I tried my best to shut up for a couple of years when, I don't know the day that it happened, but I remember where I was when I found out when the murder of George Floyd happened. I remember where I was, and I took a lot of time to shut up and listen and to read into things and to listen to the voices who had stories to tell. And then here in Canada, there was the recovery of, it started with 215 unmarked graves of children during the residential schools, and that was another time where it's like, I need to shut up and listen to these stories being told. I need to shut up and listen and learn and educate and have people share their stories. It wasn't my time, right? And I'm really grateful that those things come up, and I really do believe that there can be justice. I don't use that word actually that often, because I think it was overused, but I want there to be resolution, and I don't know what the answer is. I could go off and say what I would do if I was in office or the House of Parliament, but there's so many rules and regulations in effect that it's so hard to do. And at this point, like, I don't like to get into these conversations, to tell you the truth. But I guess it's just me saying I did take some time to shut up and listen and hear what was being told, because I was angry. I was actually really angry that nobody told me. Nobody told me. I knew. I kind of knew. But it was never something where the seed was planted for me to educate further. There wasn't that seed. I knew it happened. But my parents, they didn't really know about it. Like, they knew it happened, but they didn't really know what happened, if that makes sense. And the teachers, like, they weren't allowed to talk about it. They weren't allowed to teach that, I guess. I don't know what, well, actually I do. I do know why they weren't allowed to talk about it at the time. And it's something I was really angry for a long time that nobody told me. Nobody educated me, and I'm now that I know, like, it's just something that I hope it connects us more as a human race, that we can be connected more and have a little bit more kindness for ourselves, because in those situations it's a generational trauma. We all experience some form of that, but that is so deep rooted in hate and racism that someone like myself, sure, I may have trauma from other things, but not like that, not where it affects an entire community of people, you know what I mean, an entire culture. And yeah, it's kind of hard to end this now, because I'm just kind of in thought, but yes, thank you for listening if you made it this far, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, evening, whatever time it is for you. Thank you for watching.